शक्ति ओम शक्ति ओम शक्ति ओम शक्ति
ओम 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 ओम। காளியின் ஆட்டத்தை ஆனந்தத்தை ஆனந்தத்தொடு ஆடிய ஆட்டத்தை கண்டோர் உயிருக்குளெல்லாம் இறங்கி குண்டலினிவில் உயிர்ப்பிக்கச் செய்து மாய மனத்தின் இருளை அகற்றி மாயம் அழித்து மங்களம் தந்து குரு பக்தியும் சிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ சக்தியும் அளிக்கின்றேன். மனமாயை விடுத்து குரு பதத்தை பற்றுங்கள். நித்யானந்தமாய் நிஜாவதாரமாய் வந்துதித்த என்னை பற்றி வாழ்வில் எல்லா நலமும் பெற்றிடுங்கள். ஓம் ஓம் ஓம்.
யாதுமாகி நின்றாய் காளி ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி
ஓம் 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 ஓம். காளியின் ஆட்டத்தை ஆனந்தத்தை ஆனந்தத்தொடு ஆடிய ஆட்டத்தை கண்டோர் உயிருக்குளெல்லாம் இறங்கி குண்டலினிவில் உயிர்ப்பிக்கச் செய்து மாய மனத்தின் இருளை அகற்றி மாயம் அழித்து மங்களம் தந்து குரு பக்தியும் சிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ சக்தியும் அளிக்கின்றேன். மனமாயை விடுத்து குரு பதத்தை பற்றுங்கள். நித்யானந்தமாய் நிஜாவதாரமாய் வந்துதித்த என்னை பற்றி வாழ்வில் எல்லா நலமும் பெற்றிடுங்கள். ஓம் ஓம் ஓம்.
யாதுமாகி நின்றாய் காளி ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி
ஓம் 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 ஓம். காளியின் ஆட்டத்தை ஆனந்தத்தை ஆனந்தத்தொடு ஆடிய ஆட்டத்தை கண்டோர் உயிருக்குளெல்லாம் இறங்கி குண்டலினிவில் உயிர்ப்பிக்கச் செய்து மாய மனத்தின் இருளை அகற்றி மாயம் அழித்து மங்களம் தந்து குரு பக்தியும் சிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ சக்தியும் அளிக்கின்றேன். மனமாயை விடுத்து குரு பதத்தை பற்றுங்கள். நித்யானந்தமாய் நிஜாவதாரமாய் வந்துதித்த என்னை பற்றி வாழ்வில் எல்லா நலமும் பெற்றிடுங்கள். ஓம் ஓம் ஓம்.
யாதுமாகி நின்றாய் காளி ஓம் காளி ஓம்
காளியின் ஆட்டத்தை ஆனந்தத்தை ஆனந்தத்தொடு ஆடிய ஆட்டத்தை கண்டோர் உயிருக்குளெல்லாம் இறங்கி குண்டலினிவில் உயிர்ப்பிக்கச் செய்து மாய மனத்தின் இருளை அகற்றி மாயம் அழித்து மங்களம் தந்து குரு பக்தியும் சிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ சக்தியும் அளிக்கின்றேன். மனமாயை விடுத்து குரு பதத்தை பற்றுங்கள். நித்யானந்தமாய் நிஜாவதாரமாய் வந்துதித்த என்னை பற்றி வாழ்வில் எல்லா நலமும் பெற்றிடுங்கள். ஓம் ஓம் ஓம்.
யாதுமாகி நின்றாய் காளி, ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி, ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி, ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி.
ஓம் 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 ஓம். காளியின் ஆட்டத்தை ஆனந்தத்தை ஆனந்தத்தொடு ஆடிய ஆட்டத்தை கண்டோர் உயிருக்குளெல்லாம் இறங்கி குண்டலினிவில் உயிர்ப்பிக்கச் செய்து மாய மனத்தின் இருளை அகற்றி மாயம் அழித்து மங்களம் தந்து குரு பக்தியும் சிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ சக்தியும் அளிக்கின்றேன். மனமாயை விடுத்து குரு பதத்தை பற்றுங்கள். நித்யானந்தமாய் நிஜாவதாரமாய் வந்துதித்த என்னை பற்றி வாழ்வில் எல்லா நலமும் பெற்றிடுங்கள். ஓம் ஓம் ஓம்.
யாதுமாகி நின்றாய் காளி, ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி, ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி, ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி.
ஓம் 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 ஓம். காளியின் ஆட்டத்தை ஆனந்தத்தை ஆனந்தத்தொடு ஆடிய ஆட்டத்தை கண்டோர் உயிருக்குளெல்லாம் இறங்கி குண்டலினிவில் உயிர்ப்பிக்கச் செய்து மாய மனத்தின் இருளை அகற்றி மாயம் அழித்து மங்களம் தந்து குரு பக்தியும் சிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ சக்தியும் அளிக்கின்றேன். மனமாயை விடுத்து குரு பதத்தை பற்றுங்கள். நித்யானந்தமாய் நிஜாவதாரமாய் வந்துதித்த என்னை பற்றி வாழ்வில் எல்லா நலமும் பெற்றிடுங்கள். ஓம் ஓம் ஓம்.
யாதுமாகி நின்றாய் காளி, ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி, ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி, ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி.
ஓம் 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 ஓம். காளியின் ஆட்டத்தை ஆனந்தத்தை ஆனந்தத்தொடு ஆடிய ஆட்டத்தை கண்டோர் உயிருக்குளெல்லாம் இறங்கி குண்டலினி உயிர்ப்பிக்கச் செய்து மாய மனத்தின் இருளை அகற்றி மாயம் அழித்து மங்களம் தந்து குரு பக்தியும் சிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ சக்தியும் அளிக்கின்றேன். மனமாயை விடுத்து குரு பதத்தை பற்றுங்கள். நித்யானந்தமாய் நிஜாவதாரமாய் வந்துதித்த என்னை பற்றி வாழ்வில் எல்லா நலமும் பெற்றிடுங்கள். ஓம் ஓம் ஓம்.
யாதுமாகி நின்றாய் காளே.
Sorry for the technical glitch. Let us understand now Devi Parashakti's revelations mapped into English. Oh, humans, don't be scared of the deadly infection corona. Through these 8 ways, praying and meditating on me, surrendering to me through social media, wherever I'm residing, worshiping me by doing fire walking, applying turmeric in chest, drinking neem juice, and meditating on me every day, being in the unclutched state, filling with eternal bliss, doing the ajapa ajapa of the cosmic sound Shiva Shiva Shiva, with complete mind, applying banana peel and onion in the field and going to sleep, being in the state beyond any remembrance or forgetting, in the Arunachala Spurana that blossoms as aham aham, in the state of Ananda Spurana. Everyone who thinks on me through these 8 ways, they will not have effects of corona. They don't have fear and delusions of corona. You will live with prosperity, with wisdom and fortune. Me with you, you as me as you. You will have good life. Even if you do one of these 8 ways, I will protect you. Corona will not reach you. Don't have fear, people. Be blissful. Devi revealed that there are 8 methods to protect humanity from COVID-19. Now let us understand each of these more deeply and the science behind each method. The step 1 was praying and meditating on me, Devi Parashakti. So science has understood the benefits of prayer, and in Healthline it was reported there are 12 benefits of prayer and meditation, and this includes reducing stress, controlling anxiety, promoting emotional health, enhancing self-awareness, lengthening the attention span, it may reduce age-related memory problems. It can help generate kindness. It may help fight addictions. It can improve sleep. It helps control pain and can decrease the blood pressure. And it's very easily accessible anywhere. And in one study, it stated the benefits of meditation and mindfulness practices, especially during the times of crisis such as COVID-19. And the study by the US Department of Health and Human Services has revealed the various benefits on the physical and mental health. And another study by the Cambridge University Press reiterates the necessity of meditation during times of crisis such as COVID-19. And in Everyday Health magazine, it was published on December 7th, 2015, that prayer and spirituality protects the emotional health. And it explains that it offers a bigger sense of purpose, a connection to a greater power or truth, can give you a sense of purpose and meaning beyond the day-to-day life. And it can provide social support. Through practicing your spirituality, you may become involved with a community of like-minded people, and it can lift the spirit. Activities related to your spiritual practice of community involvement, such as singing and music, may also have positive effects on emotional health. And it can also help you cope with difficulties. Spirituality or even religion can provide a framework for dealing with unexpected or negative events. And on September 2015, the report published in Health Psychology found that when researchers followed 191 people with congestive heart failure for 5 years, they found that those who reported feeling spiritual peace and who also make some healthy lifestyle changes were significantly more likely to live longer than their peers. And people with major depressive disorders or chronic medical illnesses who report high levels of religiosity, which includes daily religious experiences, generally become more optimistic than their peers. This was found in a study published in Depression and Anxiety on July 2015. So the avatar himself has directly demonstrated the benefits of meditation and has shown the direct impacts on the mind. And researchers have studied Supreme Concept of Hinduism's brain directly and seen how it has a physical effect on the brain. So let us watch the video and understand more about it.
Nithyananda participates and encourages scientific researchers to derive evidences for meditation and healing through meditation. Dr. R. Murli Krishna, President, COO, Integris Mental Health and James L. Hall Jr., Center for Mind, Body and Spirit, Oklahoma in US, and his team invited Nithyananda to derive scientific evidences for meditation and the state of his enlightenment.
When Swamiji came, I have requested him to do one thing. I asked him, would you be willing to undergo some scientific investigation of the meditation process? He very cheerfully agreed without one complaint. He went for 3 repeat sessions for PET scanning and 3 repeat sessions for quantitative EEG sessions. And these are really not very easy tests to go through. It requires a lot of patience and a lot of willingness to do that. So we did that, because if a meditation process is doing something to your brain, we should be able to detect that. Scientific findings are verifiable. They're replicable. You can replicate them, duplicate them. So Swamiji went through those sessions and we found some interesting findings.
In PET scan, they inject a radioactive dye which goes and sits in parts of the brain that are active. In the normal, non-meditative state, the brain is very active. And when we are seeing someone, the rear end of the brain, the visual cortex, is very active, as shown in the diagram.
Usually the brain is so active, there are 100 billion brain cells there. But what meditation does is something very interesting. It shows the frontal lobes getting more active. The frontal lobe is where you have judgment, wisdom, reasoning. Here are some of the brain scans I'm going to share with you. This is alert, non-meditative state. The second one is 30 minutes into this one. 30 minutes meditation. Look at the frontal lobes, how they light up. They light up big time. 60 minutes of deep meditation, and here is a deep, deep level of meditation where it lights up significantly right here. Right in the middle, probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches deeper. What's interesting was Swami was inside, and that's the last part of that one. See that right here? So what's interesting is I've never seen that before in my life. So the other parts I've seen may not be to the extent that Swamiji showed, but this is something interesting. There is something called dopamine, which is a chemical our brain is involved in. Dopamine is produced mostly in this area. And when you have any pleasurable feeling in your body, it is mediated through dopamine. It's a neuroreceptor. It's a chemical that transmits messages of pleasure. It basically evokes pleasure. If you eat, the same thing is with visual pleasures you have. Beautiful people, beautiful sceneries, nature, whatever gives you pleasure. It's mediated through dopamine. Everything that human being experiences involves dopamine. But what's interesting is that you and I have the potential to create our own dopamine in a big way. So I named it, for lack of a word in the past, the D spot, which is the dopamine spot. If you can discover your D spot, you got it made in life. The D really stands for divine spot. The D also stands for delight, and the dopamine as well. What's also interesting is that he could, at will, go in and out of the states. Those are some of the findings I want to share with you. There's so much more talk about physiology of mind and brain and the body. It's a fascinating field that this is something that all human beings can relate to, can apply in our own lives. Not only a sophisticated knowledge, but these things have application in daily life for all of us.
Nithyananda's system of free healing, known as Nithya Spiritual Healing, has been baffling the medical world, curing diseases from migraine to cancer. Qualified people are also initiated to become healers. The complete report of the research conducted on Nithyananda's neurological system can be found in the book Mystic Phenomena, Scientific Data.
We've seen how
Nithyananda participates and in
your brain when meditating and how it really affects your the brain activity. Let us now listen to the Supreme Concept of Hinduism speaking about prayer and how prayer can change your whole mood and your day.
If you are not allowed to do yoga, made to believe early morning sleep is the best thing in your life, you are tortured, you are abused, your divine rights are violated. If you are constantly inspired to do yoga early morning, Brahma Muhurta time, and everyday puja, sit that 30-40 minutes and melt down by feeling connection. Understand? Nothing can be compared to prayer to bust your stress. I tell you, prayer is the best stress buster. Deep feeling connection and tears rolling in your eyes and melting down. Prayer to Paramashiva. Intense yearning, Vyakulata, talking to Paramashiva, relating to Paramashiva. Nothing can be compared to that to bust your stress. I tell you, every day puja is an ultimate recharging experience. If you do everyday puja. The kind of the stress-free life you will live, your whole biological clock will be aligned to Kailasa. I tell you, I have seen the people who have the habit of Nitya Puja live long. Not just long, happy. In my whole life, it is Nitya Puja, Puja, that gave me all the best things of life. Everyday puja. Relating with the deities is the best stress buster. Touch the deities, do decoration, dress up. Even now, my best time of the day is when I sit with my deities. When I sit with my deities, dress up the deities, jewel them, spend time with them, talk to them, intensely pray, deeply connect and pray. Understand? You do not know the power of Archavatara. God landing in physical deity form. Never underestimate the power of Archavatara. The Archavatara is equivalent to living avatara. What living avatar can do to you, an Archavatara can do. Atma Linga I am giving to all of you is literally living Archavatara. Is a piece of God. Literally.
So now that we've understood the first step of how to protect yourself from corona, let us now enter into the next segment where we will understand some of the various ways that we can connect with Devi Parashakti through the various offerings made to Devi Parashakti. We'll enter into this next segment after a very short break.
காளியின் ஆட்டத்தை ஆனந்தத்தை ஆனந்தத்தொடு ஆடிய ஆட்டத்தை கண்டோர் உயிருக்குளெல்லாம் இறங்கி குண்டலினியில் உயிர்ப்பிக்கச் செய்து மாய மனத்தின் இருளை அகற்றி மாயம் அழித்து மங்களம் தந்து குரு பக்தியும் சிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ சக்தியும் அளிக்கின்றேன். மனமாயை விடுத்து குரு பதத்தை பற்றுங்கள். நித்யானந்தமாய் நிஜாவதாரமாய் வந்துதித்த என்னை பற்றி வாழ்வில் எல்லா நலமும் பெற்றிடுங்கள். ஓம் ஓம் ஓம்.
யாதுமாகி நின்றாய் காளி, ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி, ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி, ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி.
ஓம் 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 ஓம். காளியின் ஆட்டத்தை ஆனந்தத்தை ஆனந்தத்தொடு ஆடிய ஆட்டத்தை கண்டோர் உயிருக்குளெல்லாம் இறங்கி குண்டலினிவில் உயிர்ப்பிக்கச் செய்து மாய மனத்தின் இருளை அகற்றி மாயம் அழித்து மங்களம் தந்து குரு பக்தியும் சிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ சக்தியும் அளிக்கின்றேன். மனமாயை விடுத்து குரு பதத்தை பற்றுங்கள். நித்யானந்தமாய் நிஜாவதாரமாய் வந்துதித்த என்னை பற்றி வாழ்வில் எல்லா நலமும் பெற்றிடுங்கள். ஓம் ஓம் ஓம்.
யாதுமாகி நின்றாய் காளி, ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி, ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி, ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி.
Welcome back, dear viewers. Now let us enter into this next segment where we will understand the various ways we can connect with Devi Parashakti. Let us understand how Devi has manifested in our lives and how we can deepen our love and gratitude and connection with Devi Parashakti. So, Devi Parashakti is the completion of both masculine and feminine, and both consciousnesses have to be expressed equally by every human being to be enlightened. Until enlightenment, only the masculine dimension expresses more than the feminine dimension, irrespective of the male or female physical bodies. And every human being has to complete with the 5 dimensions to achieve enlightenment. This includes the Pitrus or the ancestors, the Kula Devatas, which are the family deities, the parents whom we get our physical DNA, and the nature. And 5th is the Guru, who will ultimately give us enlightenment itself. Incompletion are light, negative, and adharmic cognition in these 5 dimensions, and they lead to misconstrued karana and karya, the cause and effect, and further lead to suffering and pain and calamities in individual, personal, and collective and global levels. Being sensitive to life is being aware and in gratitude to life for everything, from the air that we breathe, to the place that we sit, to the energy that we feel that we exist, and the energy to celebrate your existence. And these 43 energies constitutes our human body. When all 43 are integrated to Dharma, one becomes enlightened. Dharma is the cosmic motherly completion and sensitivity from the level of the Panchabhutas, and is the core principle of the cosmos. And awakening the sacred is key to enlightenment. When awakened, man expresses the sacred feminine consciousness. He becomes a great revered leader. When awakened, woman expresses the sacred feminine consciousness. She becomes Devi, cosmic mother, expressing power. And the key to awaken the sacred feminine consciousness is through conscious sovereignty. And out of millions of paths, the easiest, sweetest, and most beautiful path to enlightenment is connecting with the cosmos as mother, Devi Parashakti. the cosmic feminine consciousness. She is the one who expresses as Guru all the gods, all the manifestations in the universe. She can straight away deliver enlightenment by connecting through the cosmic umbilical cord. Offerings are not to benefit the divine, but to close our gap with the divine consciousness. When we achieve completion with the divine cosmic mother, her infinite powers with her sweet grace starts nourishing all our dimensions through the cosmic umbilical cord. There's nothing too small or too big one can offer to connect with the Divine Mother. It has to be from a space of love, of a child looking at a mother and handing her what it has to share with her out of her deep love and gratitude. It can be a cup of milk or a flower, or it can be a precious jewel to adorn her smiling face or her beautiful hair. And the Vedic rishis have clearly stated the techniques to connect with the sacred feminine consciousness, to awaken the same qualities in us. One can connect with Paramashiva through oneness, but with the divine cosmic mother, it can only be by worshiping her sacred feet with devotion. Mother worship is the most non-violent, most peace-centered, most healing, soothing, and sweetest path to enlightenment among all traditions on planet Earth. Worshipping includes contemplating, meditating through sacred offerings of mantras and oblations at her feet. And as we stated, mother worship is the most non-violent and most peace-centered path to enlightenment. So why do we worship Mother? Why the divine feminine consciousness? Because she is the ultimate. She's the easiest way to connect with the ultimate and experience the ultimate. And here is the pramana for Devi Parashakti. We can see the translation, which states, I walk as the 11 Rudras, I walk as the Vasus, I walk as Vishnu and other Adityas and all the divine forms, the Vishvadeva, assuming the form of the inner self of all the gods, holds aloft Mitra and Varuna, even as Indra and Agni I do, and the Ashwini twins too. This is from the Rig Veda. And it continues on. The Ekadasha Rudras, the Maharudra, Ashta Vasus, the Dvadasha Adityas, Vishvadeva, Devata, all of them are my retinue. I move around in my various forms with them as my retinue. I protect all of them, including Mitra, Varuna, Indra, Agni, and the Ashwini Devatas. And Devi declares herself as the inner self of all the gods, the divine energies, and she is all pervading and all permeating. And when we offer our love, our gratitude to Devi Parashakti, we can experience the ultimate. We can experience all of the energy of Devi Parashakti and the fulfillment of our feminine consciousness. Let us look at the various offerings that we can make to Devi Parashakti. The first offering is the E-Hundi offering, which is a general donation, and this can be in any amount. And it is stated that Devi is fond of true devotion and is realized through true devotion. She can be won over through true devotion, and she removes all fears. And if there is any fear in the minds of the devotees, Devi is sure to remove that fear. It is stated that Devi likes to be worshipped in autumn, And this does not mean the season autumn, but it is meant that the autumn of our lives, where our thoughts turn more and more inward, and the role of the divine becomes known and understood daily, and the need for Devi worship becomes much stronger. And Devi is described as the one who bestows happiness on her devotees. So you can offer your gratitude and devotion to Devi Parashakti by offering your Kanika, and your name shall be chanted during the puja to Devi Parashakti. Next offering is the Sankalpa chanting, which is the offering of the conscious resolution to Devi Parashakti. And it's stated in Saundarya Lahari, verse 27, that the mantras I chant with the sacrifice in my soul become chanting of your name. Let all my movements become auspicious mudras. Let my travel become perambulation around thee. Let the act of eating and drinking become fire, offerings, oblations, and homas, yajnas. Let my act of sleeping become salutations to you, and let all actions of pleasure of mine become part of your worship. So when you offer these sentences of chanting to the Devi Parashakti, you will have blessings for both asked and unasked, remembered and forgotten wishes to manifest by the grace of Devi Parashakti. Next offering is the Devi Sahasranama Swarnakasu, which are the gold coins inscribed with the various names of Devi Parashakti. And these various names represent the various qualities of Devi Parashakti, whether it's her overflowing compassion, her grace, or her knowledge. Whichever aspect you relate, you can offer a coin with the various names of Devi Parashakti and be blessed with all the Ananta Kalyana Gunas, the blessings to manifest and awaken the multiple dimensions of the divine feminine consciousness and attributes and powers. The next offering is the Mukta Anguti, the nose ring, and it's stated that Devi, let the goddess who brings good fortune, who is praised by the gods, who is served by Devendra, who is praised by the Devas, troubled by the Asuras, who is praised and remembered as devotion to herself, all who is the source of all good in the world. Let that goddess destroy all obstacles. And when we offer this Mukta Anguti, we will be blessed with protection from all dangers and fears. The next offering is the Svarna Padma Pushpa, which is the golden lotus. And as we all know, the lotus is a very divine flower, and it's seen in various aspects of Buddhism. And the lotus, despite being in murky waters, still grows with so much of beauty and grace. And it's stated that Devi, who bestows accomplishments and intellect, who showers worldly prosperity, Devi who powers the subtle mantra of the cosmos, I bow to you, O Devi Mahalakshmi. So when you offer this golden lotus, you will be receiving the blessings for attracting positive relationships in personal and business dimensions. The next offering is the Swarnamati, the golden toe ring that you can offer to Devi Parashakti, and it's described of Devi's feet. Lord Brahma, the creator of your, collects a dust from your feet and creates this world. The great Adi Shesha with his thousands of heads, and somehow carries a dust of your feet with great effort. And the great Lord Rudra takes it and powders it nicely and uses it as the holy ash. And when you offer these Swarnamati, you receive blessings for a life of leadership qualities, by offering worship to the divine lotus feet of Devi Parashakti, achieved by even worshipping a tiny grain of dust from her feet. The meti is a gold toe ring to worship by adorning the divine feet of Devi Parashakti. The next offering is the mantika, the gold hairline jewelry. And it is, Devi is described that she who makes, as the one who makes the nectar flow from the sahasrara, the crown center, to the anya, the third eye, and permeates through our 72,000 nadis, the energy centers, to give us the ultimate experience of the cosmos. So when we offer this mantika, we will be blessed with the lifestyle of enlightenment. Next offering is the Pratikshapada Puja, which is the most favorite offering of all the devotees. And when you offer this at the divine lotus feet of your very own Guru who is manifesting Devi Parashakti, you will receive all the blessings and grace of both the Supreme Cosmic Hinduism and Devi Parashakti herself. And it's stated that Adi Shankaracharya has explained the greatness of worshipping the divine feet of the Guru. And he stated, my repute has traveled in all directions through my philanthropy and prowess. All the things of this world are in my hands as reward for my virtues. Yet if one's mind be not centered upon the lotus feet of the Guru, what then, what then, what then? And the Pratikshapada Puja is, when you offer the Pratikshapada Puja, you will be blessed with the most auspicious and sweetest path to enlightenment. Next offering is the Vastra Seva. And Devi is Guru, the feminine consciousness, and the one beyond the idea of male and female. So when you offer the Vastram, the cloth, to the Guru, the dimension of the Cosmic Mother, you, during the Pratikshapada Puja, you will be bestowed with the sweetest path to enlightenment and with complete protection. So here are the list of all of the various offerings that you can make to Devi Parashakti, manifesting through your very own Guru, the Supreme Conscious Hinduism. And you can visit gateway.nithyanandeshwarahindutemple.org/NHTLA, and you can go to direct yourself towards the Parashakti Bhava Samadhi Darshan donation page. And once you reach that page, you can go ahead and select whichever offering you would like to do. So this is what the page will look like. And you can choose in the drop-down menu the various offerings that you would like to make, whichever offering you would like to make, whether it's the Parnavadma Pushpa or the Pratikshapada Puja. You can choose whichever one you would like and select that. And you can choose how many ever you would like. If you would like to offer for multiple people in your family, you can choose as many as you would like. And once you have chosen that, you can add that to your cart and proceed to the checkout. And once that is done, you can fill out all of your billing details just as you would for any other online payment. And it's a very simple process. And you can go ahead and place your order for your seva, and you can offer your love, your gratitude to Devi Parashakti. And then next, you can also join as an e-Kailasian and join as a member of Kailasa's HDH Nithyananda page. The very simple way to do this, you can go to YouTube and go to the Kailasa's HDH Nithyananda page, and you can hit the join button, which is shown on the screen. And once you choose that, you will be directed to this page where it will give you the option of the levels that you would like to become in the Kailasa, whether it's the bronze, gold, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, or premium. You can choose whichever one you would like, and each one offers various benefits and exclusive content. So you can go ahead and choose whichever one suits you best. And then you can directly make the payment through YouTube by adding your credit card, or you can make your payment through the PayPal option. It's a very simple process. And once you are done, you will be registered to be an e-Kailasian and a member of the Kailasa's HDH Nithyananda YouTube channel. And this offers you many benefits, like being able to ask your questions live during the daily Parashakti Akashic reading, when you can ask any prayer request or boon directly to Devi Parashakti. And again, here is the link for where you can make your offering, gateway.nithyanandeshwarahindutemple.org. And with this, we will be concluding this portion of the program, and we'll be entering into the next portion of the program, which is where we will hear from the administrators of Adi Kailasa about the various activities that are going on in Adi Kailasa for the Kailasa's COVID care centers. As many of you have heard, the Supreme Council of Hinduism has opened up all of the Kailasas in India for multi-layer quarantine for any being who wants to protect themselves during this year, during this pandemic, and wants to ensure their life is protected. The Supreme Council of Hinduism has opened up all Kailasas for the Kailasa COVID care and has offered free food, free accommodations, free internet services, and much, much more. And today we will be hearing from the administrators of Adi Kailasa about the various activities that the Supreme Council of Hinduism has made available at the Kailasas of India, and hear about the beautiful ecosystem that the Supreme Council of Hinduism has opened up to all residents of India to be able to protect their lives. So we have Ma Nithyananda Swami joining us today for this segment. So we will be hearing from the administrators in just a moment after a very quick break. So, the Supreme
காளியின் ஆட்டத்தை ஆனந்தத்தை ஆனந்தத்தொடு ஆடிய ஆட்டத்தை கண்டோர் உயிருக்குளெல்லாம் இறங்கி குண்டலினி உயிர்ப்பிக்கச் செய்து மாய மனத்தின் இருளை அகற்றி மாயம் அழித்து மங்களம் தந்து குரு பக்தியும் சிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ பக்தியும் பரமசிவ சக்தியும் அளிக்கின்றேன். மனமாயை விடுத்து குரு பதத்தை பற்றுங்கள். நித்யானந்தமாய் நிஜாவதாரமாய் வந்துதித்த என்னை பற்றி வாழ்வில் எல்லா நலமும் பெற்றிடுங்கள். ஓம் ஓம் ஓம்.
யாதுமாகி நின்றாய் காளியே, ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி, ஓம் காளி ஓம் சக்தி, ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி ஓம் சக்தி.
ஓம் 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 ஓம்.
Nithyanandam, and welcome to today's segment, which will be covering the multi-layer quarantine COVID care protection centers at the de facto spiritual embassies of Kailasa. Let's take a quick look at what the world is facing today for us to understand what the COVID care protection centers are really offering to humanity. About 4 in 10 parents say their child fell behind academically due to the pandemic. About 3 in 10 say their child experienced mental health or behavioral problems. To see specifically, percentage of the parents who say that as a result of the pandemic, at least one of their children fell behind academically. 39% of parents feel so. 36% of parents feel at least one of their children fell behind in their social and emotional development. 29% of parents say at least one of their children experienced mental health or behavioral problems. The prevalence of depression and anxiety remains high among younger adults across various geographies. Specifically, in this case, we can see in France, 18 to 24-year-olds at over 25% and over 30%, over 25% feeling depressed and over 30% feeling anxious. Younger adults are more likely to report symptoms of anxiety and or depressive disorder during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is substantiated by various studies which indicate that in the age group 18 to 24, the youth age group, 56% of youth feel that they are facing anxiety or depression because of the pandemic. 25 to 49, the working age group at about 50%, and 50 to 64, the elderly age group, 39% feeling anxious and or depressed, and the retired age group at 65 plus, almost 30% feel that they are facing medical symptoms of anxiety and or depressive disorder. So one can say across all the age groups, without leaving anybody, right from the youth to the working to the elderly age group, 30 to 60% feeling that they are suffering from symptoms of anxiety and or depressive disorder, specifically triggered by this COVID-19 pandemic. Further, the Household Pulse Survey and the US Census Bureau surveys indicate that between 2019, which is the pre-COVID-19 period, to today, in the 2021 year frame, the average share of adults reporting symptoms of anxiety disorder and or depressive disorder has jumped from 11% in 2019 to a whopping 41%, more than, it's almost close to 4 times the number of adults who are experiencing medical symptoms of anxiety and or depressive disorder. Various workplace surveys indicate that people are feeling, the employees are feeling mentally disturbed or frustrated or depressed or stressed more than half the time at work. MetLife survey here shows 34% of employees feel that more than half the time at work they feel tired and stressed. 27% feel they are burnt out. 22% feeling discouraged. 19% feel distracted. 17% feel depressed. So here we can see various segments, including the workforce, not left untouched by this COVID-19 pandemic, as employees feel more than half the time at work, they feel, instead of feeling driven, ambitious, and planning for their career, feeling work-life balance, it has now come to a concerning statistics which indicate that more than close to 20 to 30% of the employees feel stressed, burnt out, depressed, frustrated, etc. Now here we see that it is taken on grave proportions, the COVID-19 pandemic and its resulting implications, as we see the American Psychological Association has declared stress in America as a national mental health crisis. COVID-19 being a significant stressor for most Americans. Nearly 8 in 10, 78% say the coronavirus pandemic is a significant source of stress in their life. And nearly 7 in 10, 67% say they have experienced increased stress over the course of the pandemic. 1 in 4 essential workers, that is a 25%, diagnosed with mental health disorders since the start of the pandemic. One really needs to understand the implications of what this number means. As we all know, with the COVID-19 pandemic continuing unabated, in fact, mutating at a very fast pace, where even vaccines are not able to keep up with the pace at which the virus is mutating and its variants, ranging from Delta to various fungi, all these leaving people stressed, worried, concerned, and also faced with various derivative disorders ranging from physical to mental caused by this corona pandemic. The frontline defense for all these are healthcare workers, essential workers. And as the study is indicating from the American Psychological Association, that very frontline defense, the essential workers, 25% are diagnosed with mental health disorders. So needless to say, besides the threat and the health risk that essential workers face day in and day out because of exposure to the COVID-19 patients, the derivative impact, the continuous stress that the essential workers are subjected to because of constant exposure to the COVID-19 patients, the trauma that they keep seeing day in and day out, with the number of deaths that they are seeing, the number of suffering cases that the essential workers are exposed to, the emotional trauma that they are forced to go through day in and day out, having to see these patients suffering and their families stressed out and suffering. 25% diagnosed themselves, the essential workers themselves, diagnosed with mental health disorders since the start of the pandemic. And further it goes on, COVID-19 could exacerbate doctors' existing mental health burden, say studies, and CDC says more than 60,000 US healthcare workers have contracted COVID-19 and 300 have died. And this is in comparison to the Journal of Medical Regulation, which says an estimated 300 to 400 physicians die by suicide every year. Of the health workers who treated patients during the COVID-19 outbreak, 50% showed signs of depression, 45% showed signs of anxiety, according to preliminary research. Now, those are very concerning numbers also, because more than half of the healthcare workers who are meant to be treating patients from the COVID-19 pandemic or its derivative disorders, 50% themselves being depressed and 45% being anxious. So we can see that the pandemic is taking its toll. And the very people who are supposed to be giving both medical support as well as emotional and mental health support are the very ones being impacted and falling to the corona pandemic. It further goes on, just in the United States, mental health during the COVID-19 pandemic, various studies showing that during late June, 40% of US adults reported struggling with mental health or substance use. And as we can see the numbers here, 31% of the citizens of the United States facing anxiety or depression symptoms, 26% now in having trauma or stressor-related disorder symptoms, 13% started or increased substance use, and 11% seriously considered suicide. So we can see here, just with the corona pandemic, the number of people facing anxiety or depression, trauma, and starting substance abuse, and seriously considering suicide, and therefore being at the brink of absolute breakdown. All these numbers are not less than 10% and going up to 30%. self-reported mental health among pregnant women and new mothers. That particular segment is, if we can see, 15% used to feel depression and 29% used to feel anxiety before the COVID-19 pandemic. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, we can see the numbers have shot up to 41% of pregnant women and new mothers feeling depressed and 72% feeling anxious. So we can see here the impact of the pandemic on pregnant women and new mothers, which, needless to say, is going to impact and impacting the new generation, because their offspring, the newborns and yet to be borns, are naturally going to be impacted by the mental health of these either new mothers or pregnant women. Coming to students, about the students, demographics by degree sought indicate that 20% of college students say their mental health is significantly worsened under COVID-19. And the impact of COVID-19, 48% of college students have experienced financial setback due to COVID-19. Among all students, 38% said having trouble focusing on studies and or work was most stressful. 74% of students are challenged in maintaining a routine due to COVID-19. So we can see here the impact of the pandemic, where most students ranging from 50 to 75% experiencing trouble times due to COVID-19, either because of financial setbacks or because of lack of focus, or just not able to maintain a routine. Living under stay-at-home orders, 8 in 10 students are struggling with focus on school or work and avoiding distractions. Students are interacting most with parents during COVID-19 physical distancing. And number one thing that parents can do to support students is simply spending time with them. And this ranked much higher than talking about the COVID-19 news. The resource needs, number one for college student mental wellness, virtual face-to-face time. And number one for homeschooling students, digital social gatherings. 55% of all students do not know where to go for help for their mental health. The increasing levels of mental health issues in women due to COVID-19, one can see here, it's extremely concerning because half the world's population in the women, 35% of females having moderate to severe levels of depression compared to 90% of males, 27% of females having moderate to severe levels of stress compared to 10% of males, and 37% of women aged 18 to 24, the youth, reporting suicidal thoughts compared to 17% of men. During lockdown, women are significantly more likely than men to have felt nervous and lonely. We can see here 40% of women feeling nervous compared to 30% of men about various things, right from their career to their future. And 30% of women felt that everything was an effort compared to 20% of men. 28% of women feeling lonely compared to 16% of men. And one can see here a whopping 2,800% increase in demand to the women's mental health clinic at the Alfred Hospital in 1 month. This is just one of the hospitals, the mental health hospitals, which indicates that women facing extreme amounts of stress or nervousness or a feeling of loneliness, everything in the wake of this pandemic, and therefore seeking in various forums, various ways, mental health support. And as we can see here, just one of the hospitals, Alfred Hospital, in just a span of 1 month saw a 2,800% increase in demand. The impact on mental health, specifically of Indian women during the coronavirus by age group, if we can see here, just 8%, almost a minuscule, almost non-existent number, feeling not impacted at all. 50% feel somewhat impacted, and 42% feeling strongly impacted. So one can see here the number of women, almost 50% feeling somewhat impacted, and almost the rest of the half feeling very strongly impacted in the age group of 18 to 25 years, which is the youth of women. young women. In the age group 26 to 32, the working women, 11% feeling not impacted at all, 54% feeling somewhat impacted, and 35% feeling strongly impacted. And understanding the pandemic's impact on working women, nearly 82% of women surveyed said their lives have been negatively disrupted by the pandemic. That's almost practically every woman feeling that their lives have been negatively impacted. Nearly 70% of women who have experienced these disruptions are concerned their career growth may be limited as a result. Nearly 70% of women who said they have experienced adverse changes to their daily routines during the pandemic believe these shifts have prevented or will prevent them from progressing. And as it relates to the on-demand work environment, which has now become the way of working because of the pandemic, people having to work from home, and therefore the demands on them practically being 24/7. So nearly a third, 29% of women who feel they always need to be available are concerned that if they aren't able to fulfill this need, their career progression may be impeded. So before, it used to be that women had their work-life balance most of the time, at least in many of the places, because there was the certain number of hours dedicated to work, and then they had their work-life balance as they were able to spend their time at home doing their responsibilities at home. And now that border being breached because of work at home being the way the world is going, and therefore availability, it becomes a significant demand. On-demand work environment has become where the employers are expecting their employees, be it male or female, to be available 24/7, and that taking its toll on women's mental health and their work-life balance. Understanding the pandemic's impact on working women further, of respondents who experienced shifts in their daily routine, 65% now have more responsibility for household chores. 1/3 said their workloads have increased due to the pandemic. 58% of those with children reported added childcare responsibilities. Needless to say, with the lockdowns that have become prevalent across all countries or geographies, so the children being also studying from home, so the responsibilities of childcare also added to the responsibilities of women, especially working women. And 53% of those with children reported homeschooling or education responsibilities. So one is childcare responsibility, then they have their work hours getting added because employers expect them to be available more on demand for more hours, given that they're working from home. And then on top, they have the homeschooling or education responsibilities for educating their children. 46% reported feeling a need to always be available from a work perspective, that is online at so-called off hours, responding to emails immediately. And of those women, 45% said they feel overwhelmed naturally with all this added responsibilities for the same number of hours at their disposal. 48% said their physical well-being has suffered as an impact of feeling that they always need to be available, both at the work front and, of course, at the home front. And if you can see the COVID-19 impact on older persons, economic, and all the various dimensions that affect their lives, in terms of economic well-being, the pandemic may significantly lower older persons' incomes and living standards. Already less than 20% of older persons of retirement age are receiving a pension. In terms of life and death, fatality rates are 5 times higher than the global average today. An estimated 66% of people aged 70 and over have at least one underlying health condition. Mental health, physical distancing can take a heavy toll on our mental health. Living alone and being more digitally included than others, the risks are higher for older persons. Vulnerability-wise, essential care that older persons often rely on is under pressure. Almost half of COVID-19 deaths in Europe occurred in long-term care settings. Older women often provide care for older relatives, increasing their risk to infection. In responders, older persons are not just victims, they are also responding. They are health workers, carers, and among many essential service providers. And in terms of abuse and neglect, In 2017, 1 in 6 older persons were subjected to abuse. With lockdowns and reduced care, violence against older persons is on the rise. And if you can see here the distribution by age and sex of confirmed COVID-19 cases, we can see here that the age group, right from the 20 to 29 age group all the way up to the elderly touching 80, every single age group impacted between whether it is male or females. And this data has been collected from 113 countries, territories, and zones by the World Health Organization care-based surveillance system. So this is where we are in terms of where COVID-19 has taken the world to, how every country, irrespective of their economic status, social status, culture, etc., every single country impacted, and how to combat this is still being worked out, literally struggled by every country is struggling with this, and how Kailasa, the revival of the ancient enlightened Hindu civilization, led by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the living avatar, Bhagwan Nithyananda Paramashivam, the COVID care protection centers designed personally by him under his guidance and being implemented to the T across the different de facto spiritual embassies of Kailasa in India. One can register for these through this link below, avail of the COVID care protection on all levels, right from the human level to the spiritual and the divine levels. Every single person can avail of this by simply registering at this link, https://kailasa.org/kailasacare. So let's take a few minutes now to register ourselves at this link, and we will go into the next segment after just a few minutes that we take for this registration.
All the 64 arts of Hindu tradition, ஆய கலைகள் 64, all the 64 arts are dependent on the ability of you able to give prana to it. Nowhere it can be given by relative reality, but in Kala it is not. In Kala, our ability to breathe life to it. And I tell you, ultimately, never ever great things achieved or great fulfillment experienced in relative existence based actions. These relative existence based actions are draining activities. It drains you, makes you powerless. Even when you get praise, name and fame, award, reward, the relative existence itself is tiring. More existential reality based person is cheerful, powerful, enjoying, breathing life into everything he touches or does. So I feel Kala is the solution for the problems of the art.
The Nithyananda Sacred Arts University, creating a beautiful Hindu Vedic civilization. The 25 years of accomplishments from Nithyananda Sacred Arts University includes 563 statues made up of metal that weighs about 17,000 kgs, 2,674 statues that are made of stone weighing up to 1 million kgs, and 482 statues made of marble weighing about 96,400 kg. There are 261 statues of wood, and jewelry and decoration is made in-house for 1,280 deities. The Nithyananda Sacred Arts University is established to preserve, revive, and spread the Vedic temple arts, architecture, and artifacts for people to live and experience the rich consciousness-based Hindu heritage. The temple-based arts and architecture is a science based on perfect framework of cosmic laws, sacred geometry, proportion and symmetry, sophisticated mathematical principles, and cardinal directions. The science is grounded on the sacred truth that a temple is a miniature of cosmos comprising of 5 elements and its presiding deity. Every aspect of temple and temple arts, from the size, shape, material, structural density, the size of the halls, pillars, courtyards, the facing directions, to the process of installing the deity and art forms used. All these are revealed. The modern architecture has so much to learn from the ancient Vedic temple sciences. Several researchers and studies have proven the indigenous perfection of Vedic architecture. It has been scientifically proven that the characteristic configuration, geometric configuration of Hindu temples built with extraordinary perfection has significantly increased the strengths against the earthquake movements, resulting in creation of everlasting, structurally sound structures which are proven earthquake resistant. The temples are living spaces where pure superconscious energy resides in infinite continuum, having its own independent intelligence going beyond time and space. Nithyananda Sacred Arts University, founded by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Swamiji, is founded in the year 2003, is the world's largest temple largest producer of temple arts and deities, with a mission to procure, collect, traditionally make, preserve the temple arts and temple traditions and the cultural heritage. Spread the temple arts and architecture in its highest form as a celebrative lifestyle of peace and bliss as per the authentic scriptures. Operate as a university of learning the science and applied technology of sacred arts and temple architecture. Provide training, livelihood to the Sapatis, the generation of temple architects who preserve the rare temple sciences. Creating a beautiful, highly evolved humanity, a civilization of new species following the rich Vedic Hindu life. The Vedic Hindu civilization, both in its lifestyle, tradition, art, and its architecture. Swamiji has envisioned the Pandyan Chettinad architecture for the construction of all the buildings and Madurai architecture for the construction of all the temples, for all the Hindu gods and deities and their vahanas, and just about everything that brings out the grandeur and galore one can imagine, which is truly inherent to the fascinating Hindu tradition. Building a temple-based civilization, nothing less compared to the best civilizations that ever existed. Some references here to kindle your imagination of what you can expect. Dwaraka, that was created for Lord Krishna by Vishwakarma. Swarna Lanka, that was created for Lord Shiva by Vishwakarma. Now, let us look into why these two examples were so renowned. Primarily because of the beauty of art and architecture that reflected from the beautiful, creative, artistic space and lifestyles these people were living. So here is an opportunity for you to bring out the reflection of your artistic creative side and contribute to this magnificent civilization to be. University spelt with a C as its own, envisioned to be a city of its own, reviving and reinstating the glory, grandeur, and richness of Hinduism across the world. Here is the 15 feet stone deity of Swamiji. It is the tallest ever deity made by the Nithyananda Sacred Arts University. And here you can see another beautifully carved life-size deity of Swamiji, standing and blessing the world in his compassionate form, Abhaya Varada Murti. What you're seeing here is the Sacred Arts team when they visited several quarries to identify the best stone for the deification project. You'll be surprised to know that every stone even has a gender as per Hinduism. So just by hitting the stone, a particular typical sound comes, and based on the sound, the gender is identified, and each gender has its specific project, specific purpose to which it is going to be carved. You can see here how the quality of stone proposed to be procured is being tested by the Stapatis. Now, after you select the stone, start the deification process. You can see here how the stone looks after the initial stages of the deification process. Yes, you can see how big the nose is, and later it is going to be decorative bodials and simums, an ornamental feature on every pillar above each Yajamana and Karta. The identification of best stones for sculpting. And what you are seeing here is how these stones are sculpted. And many statues went to Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Devalaya across the world. Like this, after carving each of these stone deities, everything was sent to Nithyanandeshwara Paramashiva Devalayas across the world, where these deities are energized, and Prana Pratishta was done for these deities by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself. Once Prana Pratishta is accomplished, then the deities become live. They respond to each one of our prayers. The restoration of the best stones collected from old temples. This is one other contribution from the Sacred Arts University. You can see here where thousands of stone pillars, all of this is collected. Yes, you can see here how thousands of stone pillars, all of this is being collected from various buildings of Hindu temples and old Chettinad houses. So all of this beautiful art forms, the COVID Care Protection Center participants, they have access to learn, understand, and get enriched by these beautiful Hindu art forms. So you can join our COVID Care Protection Centers and be part of this beautiful renaissance of learning Hindu arts. You can register yourself from the link below, kailasa.org/Kailasa Care. KAILASA.org/KAILASACARE. Let's take a few minutes for us to register ourselves in kailasa.org/Kailasa Care. I am thinking. Kailash Union submitted a report on persecution done to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Kailasa through the weaponization of misinformation and disinformation by a section of Indian media. This is the fourth report this year being accepted by the UN body and published publicly. You can see here clearly where the United Nations accepts the Kailasa's report on media disinformation in India. Now let's just quickly go through what the executive summary of this report, where we are specifically talking about India, where the disinformation has been especially toxic and used as a tool for propaganda, lawfare, suppressing freedom of religion and expression, and political and religious persecution. A fundamental problem in India is the widespread government and political ownership of media, where a large proportion of Indian media operations are owned by the politicians or political parties, therefore undermining their journalistical independence. This dynamic leads to the weaponization and politicization of media, where lies, propaganda, and political persecution via media spread unchecked, and the India's media cannot speak the truth to power. A recent report by Reporters Without Borders published a report called Media Ownership India concluded that some of the leading outlets are controlled by individuals with political ties. Indian media often engages in rampant manipulation of news to gain ratings. A recent article documents this toxic dynamic atmosphere and concluded that television news channels have not ceased to be driven by news or news values. Their sole pursuit is to score the television rating points called TRPs by any which means, be it through fake news or hate propaganda, witch hunts, media trials, polarizing communities, demonizing people and personalities, or airing lies and falsehoods. Popular media personalities such as Arnab Goswami and others can only make a recommendation, but they have not been enforced any action by the government. Such trial by media is often driven by the government-owned media to create an overwhelming scenario of guilty until proven innocent. Fake news also spreads unchecked through social media, resulting in causing riots, lynching, mob violence, and hatred among people. Gossipy tidbits, edited pictures, misleading content sources, spurred and planted stories spread like a forest fire among 564.5 million internet users in India through social media platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter. India has laws that prohibit misinformation, which is 153, Section 153, Section 499, and Section 500 of Indian Penal Code. But these laws are not consistently enforced due to political bias, and instead heavy-handed measures such as internet shutdowns are being employed instead. Some recourse exist in India to file complaints, but there are mainly to media self-regulatory bodies such as NBA, BCCC, IBF, but these are actually toothless fake news spread on social media. Even Section 153 has never been used against violence stemming from social media. Now, the digital companies have introduced the capability for individuals to report on individuals and content on their platform based on a broad set of predefined criteria, including but not limited to suicide, fake news, impersonation, copyright violation, trademark violation, impersonation, abuse against minor, religion, etc. Once report, it goes through an in-house review and the user is informed about the result. The action could to media disinformation in India for the UN Special Rapporteur for Freedom of Opinion and Expression, leading to taking down the content or user dependency on the nature of the violation. Additionally, most of the actions of global digital media companies have been around bringing transparency to political ads and fake news. In the case of political ads, the companies instituted mandatory disclosure forms. In the case of fake news, they rely on media designated as fact checker. Except in the case of copyright and trademark violations, the platforms have been pretty much ineffective in stemming the rise of abuse of children, abuse of women, and persecuted communities like ASMT. Many motivated and professional groups have successfully gamed the reporting system provided by the companies. This has resulted in repeated deplatforming of persecuted communities like ASMT. For a persecuted and disenfranchised community like ASMT, digital platforms are the only means to exercise freedom of expression. Transparency to political sending is a welcome move, but it's not a major problem to have any meaningful impact. The companies are not transparent about their review process and act after the fact after a complaint. The judiciary process in India is known to be extremely slow and very easily accessible for regular citizens. But there is no legitimate recourse available for ordinary citizens, especially in the case of deplatforming. The problem with the fake news is so severe and politically motivated for any fact checks to make any impact. As demonstrated in the case study, the Indian media is severely compromised to effectively deal with the disinformation in India. The politicization and the weaponization of media is a root cause of misinformation in India. Rather than performing its traditional role as an unbiased and neutral source of information or holding politically and economically powerful people and institutions accountable, the role of media has been instead been subverted to become a tool for the powerful that is used to demonize minorities, political dissidents, and anyone who poses as a threat to power structure. A compromised media ecosystem represents a grave threat to Indian democracy and its communal harmony. The politicians, political parties, and major political donors should be prohibited from having any ownership interest in media operations to ensure their journalistic integrity. Existing media operations should be required to divest themselves from any such politically aligned individuals and institutions. India's legislature should pass media ownership transparency laws requiring all the media operations to comprehensively disclose their ownership interest and financial ties on an annual basis to substantiate their independence from political and economic interests. Media houses and outlets that violate the law and incite hate and violence should be punished heavily with punitive damages awarded to deter future violations and criminal punishments where appropriate. The current mechanisms for reporting and addressing a violation amount to a mere slap on the wrist at best. The Hindu Adi Shaivite minority tradition in South India is an ancient indigenous spiritual tradition led by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Swamiji, and currently they have 30 million followers worldwide. The story of persecution of indigenous Hindu spiritual traditions, such as ASMT, is not an isolated happening. It is a saga of the persecution of linguistic and religious minority groups of dark-skinned humans. The conclusion that we have here is the media disinformation has become a fundamental weapon for persecution of minorities in India. They are used in a systematic campaign of disinformation, creating negative opinion, leading to coordinated mob attacks, lawfare, false cases. Trial by media campaigns prejudice the judges and the rest of the law enforcement system against the victims of the persecution. This leads to false convictions. Even if the victims are exonerated, these decisions come decades later, which leave them financially bankrupt and defamed beyond repair, thereby destroying their mission. The example of ASMT is a great example of this cycle of disinformation-based persecution. Now let us see the revelations to the world by Devi Parashakti. On 12th of May 2021, Devi Parashakti, manifesting through the Nijavatara, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Swamiji has revealed that I came as the Nijavatara. I am blessing you, listen. People, listen. To do good to all of you, I have taken the form of Nithyananda and came down as the Nijavatara. People of India, listen. Carefully listen. Time after time, Bharadam is the Jnana Bhumi where enlightened beings come. We cannot make the Jnana Bhumi infertile. Enlightened beings have to come. They have to live, it has to flower. Few hypocrites, because they are stuck in delusion, we cannot sacrifice the world. Cosmos cannot be destroyed. The ship I did to save the cosmos from being destroyed, that is called Adi Kailasa. The ship I did to protect beings from Pralaya is called Adi Kailasa. Because of conspiracy of Drohis and enemies rule, the captain has to leave the ship. Before 12 years, knowing the great deluge that is going to happen, all the Aushadas by this Guru Purnima, that Jnana Rasavadam, Navabhashana is going to flower. Allow people to come and take a dip in Navabhashana flower. People, whoever comes and dips in Vaidya Sarovar, they will not have death. They will not have corona. Crores and crores of people will come in line. Every day they will come and dip in Anandalingam. On 13th of May 2021, she revealed that, listen well to my words. For India, I made the ship as protection. The Nithyananda Navabhashana Lingam in Vaidya Sarovar. Go to Adi Kailasa. O Indians, listen. All those who are regretting losing the Nithyananda Nijavatara without confusion and without talking just as a lip service, go to Adi Kailasa. Crores of people will come there looking for health, Navabhashana water feast and medicine, to get health and protection and enlightenment, to protect India from the great delusion. I, Parashakti, made this huge ship. Even if the captain is not there, ship is there. On 14th of May 2021, she revealed that whoever comes to Adi Kailasa and does good work of saving people from deadly corona, I myself will do all their work. This is a commitment. Parashakti is giving you all. Parameshwari, I will do what I say. On 19th of May 2021, Devi Parashakti revealed that to save people from corona, I have set up a huge ship called Ananda Sarovar, Vaidya Sarovar and Anandalingam. I have made it in Adi Kailasa. Go there, take water every day, worship Anandalingam, water, turmeric, milk and neem rasam showered on Navabhashanam are the medicines for this. The doors of Adi Kailasa will be open for all those who come with trust. It will protect. It will protect the body and will give conscious health. It will also give highest powers, dharma, artha, moksha, jnana, powers, kama, and God beyond kama. Adi Kailasa, life will give all the goodness to you. The hell of Kirimi Bhojanam, mentioned by Vyasa in Garuda Purana, has opened and is directly falling on India as thunder. Run to Adi Kailasa and preventing it is the only way. I have opened the Adi Kailasa for those who want to save their lives. All of you run to Adi Kailasa. On 11th of June 2021, Devi Parashakti revealed that drop the foolish mind with the business motive of bargaining and attaining surrender and go to Adi Kailasa, be in Adi Kailasa. I will do only good to you. For saving your life, go to Adi Kailasa. Best life is there. Before Corona takes your life away, go to Adi Kailasa and save your life. The soil of Adi Kailasa is the Sarva Roga Nivarani for all the diseases in the world. Paramashakti, myself, taking the form of Nithyananda as the Javatara, walking there barefoot for many years, manifesting all the powers, the very soil was converted into great medicine that solves all karmas. Taking the soil of Adi Kailash and mixing it with the water of Navapashana Linga of Vaidya Sarovar, and by applying it, all the pains will vanish. Breaking the attachment to body, it will make you enlightened. Goodness is there. I told the truth. Go to Adi Kailasa. When the first world countries closed the borders during this massive global emergency, it is the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasanidanam, His Divine Holiness Swamiji, who has opened his home, his own de facto spiritual embassies of Kailasa to one and all unconditionally. Anyone who wants to protect your life during this pralaya, who wants to save yourself and reclaim your conscious sovereignty, all of you are welcome to be part of this greatest opportunity that the humanity can have, which is being in Adi Kailasa. So a number of COVID care protection centers are opened across India, which includes the Adi Kailash in Bidadi, Bangalore, followed by Salem Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Tiruvannamalai Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Rajapalayam Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Puduvai Adinam in Puducherry, Pattanam Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Siragapadi Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Sripuram Adinam in Hyderabad, Madurai Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Avattipalayam Erode in Tamil Nadu, Hosur Adinam in Tamil Nadu, Baroda Adinam in Gujarat. Multiple free COVID care protection centers are opened across India. Various social services that are offered during pandemic in Kailasa's de facto spiritual embassies across India. Various spiritual services are offered during pandemic, and above all, the cosmic revelations by Devi Parashakti every single day is being offered to one and all digitally for you all to protect yourself from this pralaya. A number of free social services includes the medical care, allopathy, Ayurveda, and Siddha medicine, and followed by the infrastructure to accommodate thousands of people, accommodation for multi-layered quarantine, emergency ambulances, which is ICU on wheels, personal protective medical equipment, food security management for food banks, and organic farming. So you have this wonderful opportunity to be part of this COVID Care Protection Center. And in today's segment, we're going to especially look into how the COVID Care Protection participants, the people who have joined our centers, are learning this art of making deities in Adi Kailasa. So typically, we have 5 steps in making of these deities, which is wax modeling of the deity, covering the wax model with the mud, and then melting the wax through extremely high temperatures, pouring the molten metal into the mud, extracting the metal deity from the mold, and finishing it through skilled sculpting. So today we're going to see how the COVID Care Protection Center participants are making the hyper detailed deities, copper deities. So the first step being the wax modeling. You can see here, this is actually Madesh Ayya, who is one of the COVID Care Protection Center participants. After a month, he is so inspired with his lifestyle, and he is sent his kit to Nithyananda Gurukul. Now, the kid is actually studying Nithyananda Gurukul while he is learning the art of making metal deities, small extension, hyper detailed metal deities in Sikrat University. After wax modeling, the next step is the mud mold. Yes, you can see here burn out or the pouring process